On September 8th, students are returning to schools in Manitoba after 3 months of online learning in the spring when schools were shut and 2 months of summer holiday. All schools in Manitoba are required to post online their opening plans. These can be seen in our area at beautifulplainssd.ca. That's beautifulplainssd.ca. The documents are very comprehensive. I recently caught up with the principals of the 3 Neepawa schools to discuss those plans. I'm sure you'll find the interviews informative and relevant. Dave Bennet, NACI TV. I'm here with Allen Hanke, the principal of Hazel Kellington School here in Neepawa, Manitoba. This is August 31st, 2020, year of the COVID. Thank you for taking some time to speak to us, Allen.
Well, thanks for coming in, Dave. I appreciate chatting with you.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your school, the Hazel Kellington, the demographics of it and so on.
Well, as you well know, HMK has changed over the last years as Neepawa has experienced significant growth. We used to be K-6 and then we were K-5 because we outgrew it. Now we're K-4 and we have 4 classes at 2 of the grades, 5 classes at 3 of the other grades. So 4 or 5 classes per grade. We've got 450 kids. So on any given day, there'll either be 20 or 21 classes in the school. And that's the difference is because of kindergarten. We have 5 classes, so 3 classes on odd days, 2 classes on even days.
Right. So was the class size kind of going to be a little reduced this year? Like that you didn't have to make any extra classes?
Well, we had to make extra classes, but that was just based on, that wasn't COVID related, that was just numbers related. And so, and our board's been excellent. They've really kind of been forward thinking in assigning staff and knowing that we're still experiencing growth. And so we added an extra 5th class of grade 2, grade 3 and kindergarten for this year. And so we've had some movement in the school, a few teachers in different classrooms now. So yeah, we're excited to get started.
That was good that it kind of worked out with COVID as well, that kind of thing. Well, okay, now let's...
So class numbers though, Dave, like you asked that, like, you know, our classes are, you know, we have 1 class of kindergarten we're capping at 15 just because that kindergarten room is smaller. And then it goes up to the biggest class right now is 23 students.
Well, that's not too bad.
No, it's not.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, well now there's a lot of talk around the community in regard to attendance and the requirements of attendance to schools since the province has basically mandated as much as possible everybody should be in school.
Yeah, for sure. And K-8, you know, has been given priority for in-school attendance, which means that K-8 kids, they're wanting in school every day. And so, yeah, basically the different, I guess, if you want to call it options, are the province is expecting all kids to be registered in school. In fact, that's a law that kids 7 and up have to be registered in a school, whether it's a public school like HMK or through the homeschooling office that's part of the province of Manitoba. And so that's an important point. I've heard some, you know, some talk that maybe parents were thinking they would just keep their kids at home this year and then put them back in the same grade next year. But that's actually technically against the law. And so I don't want anybody getting into trouble. Kids have to be registered in some kind of schooling, whether it's here at HMK or if parents are wanting to homeschool, then they would have to register with the homeschooling office, and that can be Googled online. But really, most of the kids we are expecting will be in school. There is, like I said, the homeschooling option, but parents need to understand that it's a very complicated kind of a process, because then that means parents are now taking on responsibility for all parts of their child's education, and the school is no longer a part of that. So parents are required to figure out the curriculum that they're going to teach. Like, there are provincial curricula that they can follow, but they'll be responsible for determining how they want to teach it. They'll be responsible for gathering all their own resources and obviously teaching and then assessing their children on an ongoing basis.
So you're expecting everybody basically here on the first day. There's been no indication really to you that there's going to be a large number that won't be coming?
No, not a large number. We've had a few families that are choosing homeschooling, but a small number so far. The other option is that if children do have COVID-related medical issues or reasons why they can't come to school, those children would be provided with remote learning But those are the only ones at this time that would be have any remote learning options.
And they'd be special exemptions as such then?
Right,
Be classified as that, right?
yes, for sure.
Yeah,
It has
yeah.
to be COVID-related medical conditions. So.
So, okay, what about the protocols? I mean, when the kids arrive, it's going to look different for them, for parents. What's going to be happening around the school that's different with the distancing and the sanitization and all of those kind of things?
Yeah, there are certainly, we've been working hard the last couple of weeks trying to figure all of that out and how it's going to work. So, we've got our plan, and it's online, it's on our website, and parents can go. I would encourage them to go and check that out, and I think we'll be probably putting a slightly updated version later this week out. And as we determine different things and think of different scenarios, we're going to try to keep that plan updated. But some of the basic things, we're trying to follow all the protocols that the province has laid out, both Manitoba Health and Manitoba Education, as well as any directives that Beautiful Plains School Division gives us. And so 1 meter spacing, we'll be using cohorts, which means kids will be 1 meter spacing within their cohort. And so cohorts, that's used in different ways, but we're looking at larger cohorts of up to 3 classes together as a cohort, up to 75 kids. And so that would be a group that would be playing in the same area at recess time. We're going to have to paint lines on the playground, both the north side and the south side, to split our playground and have different cohorts playing at different times. We've also staggered recesses.
Okay.
So we have our earlier recess will be grade 2 on the north side and grade 4 on the south side. And then our later recess will be K1 on the north side and grade 3 on the south side. So we're staggering recesses, we're staggering lunch, and that's just so that we have less kids out on the playground at any one time. And then that allows us to only separate we only have to separate each side of our playground into 2 regions.
Yeah.
So that's that, and in the
movement
classroom,
in the halls and so on too.
for sure. In the classroom, teachers are setting up desks and learning spaces so that kids are going to be 1 meter apart. And in the hallways, teachers are going to be working with kids and teaching them how to keep that 1 meter spacing. And as a general rule, right, if children put their arms out like this, if they can touch the person in front of them, then they're too close. And so, those kinds of things are going to be in place. Gym and music, we're going to start the year with gym classes outside as much as possible. Children are not going to need to change for gym, and so they won't need gym clothes or a gym bag until further notice. Music classes are going to be in class. Mrs. Weisgerber is going to go class to class to deliver music classes.
Okay.
And so, so we're trying to think of all different things.
Well, that's good that phys ed and music are going to be able to continue, because I know that was a concern with a lot of people, and we're educating the whole child, not just the academics.
Yeah, no, and that's something that is important to us, and we're going to do our best to maintain gym and music classes as long as we can. So.
And so, what about sanitization? And wearing of masks. Now that affects you maybe a little differently because grade 4s are required, but.
Right, and so in our school, K to 4, the province has said that all children grade 4 to 12 and all staff will be wearing masks in common areas and when 2 meter spacing is not available. K to 3 kids, it's going to be recommended, but not mandated. So if parents feel that their younger children, K to 3 children, are able to independently put their mask on and take it off at appropriate times and not be touching their mask and potentially transmitting any virus to themselves, then for sure we would, masks, they've said, are going to help stop or minimize the transmission of droplets. So, as many kids as are wearing them, that will be
and of course there'll be training. I mean, a lot of the first few days, the teachers they're not going to be too worried really about teaching academic subject material. They're going to be getting to know their kids and training of kids for all the rules and the protocols and everything.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head, Dave, when you said getting to know their kids. And that's going to be a big challenge because, with all the teachers wearing masks and all these new rules and all this, all this heightened awareness around sanitization and cleaning, we're a school, and so we're going to be welcoming children in and trying to reassure them that, you know, we've done all that we can to make this as safe, and we're going to try to make that experience the best experience we can for the children, and so that, you know, they enjoy coming to school and they feel connected to the school.
Well, that's great. Now, I know coming to the school, what about parents and visitors coming to the school now? That could be different, is it?
For sure it is, and unfortunately we're going to have to restrict access for visitors, and so we're going to have doors locked, and so parents, if you're coming to school, please call ahead of time, and then somebody will meet you outside, and we're going to try to minimize the number of people that are in the building. So that'll be a big change, and something it'll take a lot of getting used to for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. So how are you doing for substitute teachers? That's been a question. Is that going to be a problem, do you think?
Well, I think it is going to be a problem, just because the protocols, if somebody you know, has symptoms, then it's most likely going to be an extended absence. And so I think our subs are going to be, you know, that's going to be an issue that we're going to have to try to figure out, because, you know, also a lot of our subs are retired teachers, and you know, they're getting on in age a little bit, and so they may be less likely to maybe want to come into a larger school setting. So we understand that, and we're gonna work with our subs and you know, reassure them as best we can, and try to put protocols in place that make everyone, staff, students, substitutes, visitors who are in the school, make it as safe as possible for everyone.
Well, it sounds to me like you've got things pretty well ready to go, and staff are required to be here tomorrow. I understand they're going to be
not till Wednesday.
Not till Wednesday. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, that's correct. Wednesday, Thursday,
Wednesday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well, that's
Wednesday, teachers are coming in Wednesday. EAs are starting on Thursday, so the whole staff will be in starting Thursday. And yeah, we've got lots of protocols and training to go through with staff, and lots of questions, and you know, it's a work in progress, and you know, we are going to try to adjust with the times, and obviously we'll be you know, working with any new announcements, because announcements seem to be coming out fairly regularly, and that makes us
Well,
adjust
changes
our
certainly. By the
protocol.
time people see this on video, changes may have happened.
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. So this is as of
Today.
August 31st. So if it changes tomorrow, then we'll have to put the updates on the
Change
website.
is the only constant that we're operating in right
It
now. Well,
seems
thank you, Ellen, for doing this. We appreciate it, and
Yeah.
very good luck to you and your staff, and the students and
Yes.
the parents as they.
We're
move
excited to
through
have
this.
kids back. It's been so long since kids have been here, and we're excited to have them here, and we're looking forward to having them here. So
Good.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks,
very
Dave.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
I'm here with Kelvin Hollier, the principal of Neepawa Area Collegiate here in Neepawa, Manitoba. This is August the 31st, 2020, year of the COVID, and things are different this year, of course. So welcome, Kelvin. Thank you for taking some time this morning to talk to me.
Thanks, Dave, for having me. Look forward to answering your questions.
Good. Well, school's just about to start. We got teachers here in a couple of days, and kids next week are coming to school. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your school, first of all, the size, the demographics of it, how many teachers, whatever?
Okay, thanks, Dave. We have approximately 400 students from grade 9 to 12. Our largest class is about 116, and our smallest is about 80. And we've got 24 teachers, 9 educational assistants, as well as myself, 1 principal, resource teacher, EAL teacher, librarian, couple office admin, and 5 custodians on staff. So that's what we have here.
Yeah,
at
and you've
NACI.
got some special professionals. What are they shared between schools in the division?
We do have a few teachers. Some of our specialist courses, the woods, the home ec, the band, that type of thing. Art teacher, shared back and forth between Neepawa Middle School and NACI.
And some
Approximately
psychologists and so on?
The division has a few workers, a psychologist, what else do they have? Speech language pathologist, student services coordinator. So there are a few that are shared around the division.
Yeah, they'll be busy this year too, I'm sure.
Very, yep.
Very busy this year. So now, attendance at school. This is a point. Students are mandated to come to school by the province, other than if there's some very special exceptions. Do you expect there to be many exceptions in your student base?
Not totally sure. I'm guessing that there will be a few, but you are correct that the goal of the province and of the division in school is to try and get students in school, in classes as much as possible. With that being said, we are following different protocols which are in place, the social distancing, maximum capacity in a class based upon size, that type of thing. But we do have a few that have been inquiring due to certain circumstances. If you don't feel like coming to school, that's not an option. You got to be at school. But if you do have some underlying medical condition that you're doctoring for, and your doctor's, your specialist or your doctor is saying that coming to school is not an option, then there will be things put in place. If you're just feeling a little nervous, that's not a reason not to come to school. You've got to be here.
And of course, I mean, if you're sick, you don't come to school that day. You have protocols in place for that, and we'll maybe get into that a little bit later. But in a high school setting, things are different than they are in elementary or middle school. Kids are taking options. You know, your grades 9 to 12, as you said. Are the 9s going to be different from the 12s? How is all that going to work?
We are setting it up in that our grade 9s, they're going to be with one small class or group of students for the majority of the day. Teachers will come and go from the room which those students are in. They will go out for their specialty class as well as phys ed. Otherwise, there will be less traveling in the hall with our grade 9s and our grade 10s. Grade 11 and 12s, I'll back up to the 9 and 10s. The 9 and 10s will each have 2 cohorts, and what a cohort is if they cannot maintain the 2-meter distancing, they must maintain the 1-meter distancing, which allows to get a few more students in the classroom, and up to a maximum of 75 students in a cohort throughout the day, which allows for easier contact tracing if that is needed. So our 9s will be in 1 meter in 5 classes of grade 9s. Our grade 10s will also be 1 meter, but there's 4 classes of grade 10s. 11 and 12s primarily due to the number of courses and classes. It's next to, not impossible, but it'd be extremely difficult to try and get them to cohort in the spaces that we have. So the 11 and 12s will be maintaining 2-meter distancing. And if there are too many students in a class all the way from 9 to 12, we have a couple of overflow alternative spaces in the school where they will be doing a little bit of a blended learning, some live feeds coming from the teachers. Teachers will teach the class in the course, and then they'll go and support the students in a supervised area where there will be another educational assistant or teacher supervising, helping them with their schoolwork.
Yeah. Now there's a few huts around here because of the building. Do you have access to them at all, or is that reserved for the middle school site?
No, the huts are open and available to both schools. We've discussed the possibility of setting up some type of interactive learning center, and so we're taking a look at that. If the need arises, that will be put into place for us as well.
Okay, well that certainly is rather lucky, I suppose,
Yeah.
for us that we've got that extra space to actually work with there and so on. So go back to those 9s and 10s just for a moment, Kelvin. They take options. Now they have to have 2 options, I think it is, in 9 and 10. So are they going to be restricted in any way, like paired up so to keep them together or something?
Well, the 9s have 1 option in each semester, first and second. So we've got it approximately, let's say I'll throw 22 students that are taking, say, an art class. So those 22 students will be class A for art, and then they will have all of their core subjects together as well. There's a little bit of overlap in our woods and metals. Let's say that was class B and class C. They would be joined in woods and metals, but then they would be in 1 class for their academics. So the 9s were quite easy to do because they only have 1 option. The grade 10s got a little trickier because they have 4 options. We have it set up so they have 1 option in the first and 4 in the second. So the first semester will be a little easier to keep them in a group of students as well. But it'll be very same and similar. And when we do not have them in the 1 meter, if there is going to be they're going to be out, they'll need to be 2 meters. Say in their woods or the metals, they'll have to be 2 meters apart in those classes.
So you're a semestered school. I hadn't thought of that as different to the other 2 schools, of course. So will those cohorts change from first semester to second semester? Like, would you rearrange at that time, or try not to?
We're going to try not to, but if there has to be a little bit at possibly at the grade 10 level, we'll look at it. But the 9s we shouldn't have to. The same cohorts will stay through, but the 10s may. That's 5 months ahead from us, so we got lots of time to get that one in order. But for now, it's they're staying with their cohorts.
Okay, now you've mentioned 1 meter and 2 meters. You know, it maybe is a bit confusing to people. The master required. at the 1 meter distance, is that correct? Or
The masks in the hallways or the common areas that are shared throughout the school, students will be expected to wear their masks. In a classroom, if there is no cohorting, to know if they are 2 meters apart, when the teacher says that it's fine, we're all 2 meters apart. If you wanted to take your mask off and have your mask off, you can. If a teacher in a 1 meter class, they have to have their masks on, but if they want to take the students outside for a break, have a mask break, have a hand washing break, they can take their students or group of students outside, and it's encouraged and promoted as well. So, but other than that, they have to have, in shared spaces, they have to have their masks on at all times.
so you mentioned sanitization and so on. This is going to be quite the issue too, is it? Or I mean, you're going to have to make some stations and that. How's that going to work? Washrooms and so on. How's that going to work?
We're going to have stations at all the entranceways. Teachers will also have cleaning supplies as well as sanitizing products in their classroom. They'll work with the students, and the students will be responsible along with the teacher for keeping their space where they're working clean, and sanitizing their hands regularly through a class, start a class, end a class. But outside in the hallways, washrooms, there will be sanitizing and cleaning equipment there.
Are you going to be able to stagger breaks at all?
Yeah, we're going to have staggered breaks throughout the day. There will be specific times. There won't be a canteen lunch per se. They won't be buying their food for a while. We've talked about the possibility in a month from now, depending upon how well things are going. If things are going smoothly and we can, then we will open the canteen back up. But breaks will be staggered. There will be specific entranceways for the students to use as well. The 9 and 10s will have some shared entranceways. The bus students will have some shared. 9 and 10 students will come in one door, 11 and 12 in another. All of that will be posted and shared outside the school as well.
Yeah, and that's posted up on, all the schools have a plan that's posted up on the website. I've seen it and read it, and we're going to put that onto the video here so people know where it is, and try to do what we can at NACI TV to help get the information out there. So the last thing that I really want to ask about is phys ed and music and things like that. Can you elaborate a little more on how that's...
Phys ed and music, well, any of our options, and you mentioned phys ed.
Because they're core, like a phys ed's a requirement, right?
Phys ed is a core subject. It's a requirement. For starters, we still have our gym. Some schools are using their gym as a classroom. I believe Carberry Collegiate is, but we still have our gymnasium. And for a while, we'll be outside. We're going to be expecting to have the 2 metering. And if they are playing a game where they're using a soccer ball, for example, it'll be skill development. But things like a soccer ball, there will be an expectation to wash it down and clean it a little bit more frequently. Things like band, if they are doing an activity with percussion and doing something with sticks or whatever, then they'll definitely be cleaning those off regularly as well. Won't be sharing of instruments. They're not going to be playing sports where they're in close contact, face to face, huddling, that kind of stuff. We won't be doing that for a while. Yeah,
and extracurricular sports are pretty well off the table right now, are they?
Well, right now we can do golf because we can social distance with that. Cross country running we can. We're exploring the options with volleyball and soccer right now. The focus will be on skill development if we're going to proceed with those, but there will still be some specific requirements in place for those sports too.
Well, that's great. Thank you, Kelvin. You've done a lot of work, and sure hoping everybody in the community and around the province and Canada, for that matter, is sure hoping that the opening of schools, because the students do need to get back to school. Everybody agrees with that for mental health and social health and everything, that's an absolute necessity. So we're all working hard to make that work. So do you have anything else you'd like to comment?
No, thanks, Dave. I look forward to having the students back in school as well. It's been an interesting past 5 months, and I'm sure we'll have an interesting 5 months ahead of us. But we're looking forward to, like you said, educating the students and keeping them safe and healthy.
Thank you very much, Kelvin.
Thank you.
Well, I've now moved over to the middle school. It's still August the 31st, and this is Val Parayeski, the principal of the new middle school, Neepawa Middle School in Neepawa. Welcome, Val. Thank you for speaking to me today.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate the opportunity. We are excited to have staff and students back, so I'm very excited to share what our plans are with the community.
That's great, thank you. So maybe we'll start with the school. It's a brand new middle school, really. I mean, you weren't in it for very long last year, were you?
No, we actually had our grand opening of the middle school January. Students came back after Christmas to the new part of the middle school, And then the school closures took place on March 20th. So really we had about 2.5 months in our new building.
So this is a brand new year, and it really is a brand new year for
It
you and the
is.
teachers here. You haven't started up at all. Well, tell me, how big is it? What have you got for classes? How
Sure.
many teachers? That sort of thing.
Okay, so Neepawa Middle School is a grade 5 to 8 school. We have approximately 410 students. We have 25 teaching staff, 15 support staff, and 4 custodial staff. There are 4 classes of every grade, except for grade 8. There are 5 classes of grade 8.
Okay.
Class sizes at NMS range from 20 to 25 students. All NMS students take their core subjects with their homeroom teacher.
Okay. And how many is core subjects? 5, 6?
The core subjects are language arts, mathematics, science, and social studies.
Okay.
The plan to have a homeroom teacher is so that's the main contact for each student, especially if we have to go to remote learning, which we had to do at the end of last year. Our plan is for students to still take physical education classes, home ec or human ecology and industrial arts classes, as well as music and band classes, as with public health measures.
So what does that mean? That means outside when possible, I suppose, and things
Yeah.
like that?
So the plan for phys ed is that students will not change into their gym clothes.
Okay.
The physical education teacher is going to have equipment sanitized for each class, and then the class will go out and use that equipment. When they come back in, the equipment all needs to be sanitized for another group to be able to use it. So we'll have different tubs for different classes. And the hope is, as you said, to have most of our physical education classes outside if we can. Human ecology and industrial arts, we are planning lessons that involve part of the class doing hands-on activities and part of the class doing paperwork, just to try to maintain our physical distancing. And with music and band, as it sits right now, we will not have any singing and will not have any wind instruments.
Okay.
Our hope is to eventually be able to have the students play instruments, but it'll just depend on the Manitoba health mandates.
Sure. Do you have to share facilities with the high school because you're attached as such, like for that industrial arts, for example?
Yes, industrial arts and human ecology, we do share rooms in the high school. So our plan is for students to go outside of our school and around so that we are not going through the halls of NACI.
Okay, good. All right, now as far as attendance, have you had many parents indicate that they don't want to send their students here?
No,
or-
actually we haven't. We're anticipating our students all returning in September. Students are expected to attend school. Additional information can be found on our website for families that are requiring medical accommodations. So if a family has medical accommodations, they are to contact us at the school. Then we will reach out to them, work with them and medical professionals to try and make a plan. Prior to the start of school, our plan is to have every homeroom teacher call all of the students that are in their class to connect with families.
Oh, that's good.
We want to see how the students are doing, if there are any concerns, update our information on our files, and just to check to see in case some maybe are planning on homeschooling or what the plan is.
Right, yes. Well,
Yeah.
that's good to make those contacts. They're going
Yeah.
to be here for 3 days this week. The
That
teachers
is-
are. So,
That is correct.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll help.
So
Well, you've
families
got a lot
can
of-
anticipate calls this
yeah.
week.
And you're going to be training with the teachers because they're going to be training with the kids when you first get started, right?
Exactly. A lot of changes are taking place.
So what about then sanitization? The students are coming in the doors. It's going to be different. The sanitization, masks as well. Maybe
Yes.
allude a little bit to that.
Sure. So we were fortunate in June that we did open the school up to certain students. By certain students, what we mean by that is sometimes families contacted us or teachers reached out and asked certain students to come. So we have had a few students come in and see what the practice was like. We've really missed the kids, so we're hoping to have them back in the building. Some of the practices that we're putting in place are, of course, to ensure their safety and their well-being. The students will be required to be screened and wear a mask. The screening tool is on our divisional website. Every school is allowed to have cohorts, as with the public health mandate right now. So cohorts can be up to 75 students.
So that's grouping for outside recesses
Outside,
perhaps? That's
yeah,
right.
for the whole day, really, right? It's a grouping that these kids can be together. Teachers have worked in their classrooms to keep their desks 1 meter apart. And as we said, everybody has to wear a mask. We've staggered our recesses, we've staggered our lunch hours. Our exit and entrances are grade level, so grade 5s will use a door. Same thing as our washrooms. We have washroom passes that we will be hanging on the outside of washrooms to know how many kids are in the washroom at a time, so that we can ensure physical distancing as much as possible.
And will they, depending where the classroom is, that kind of indicates which washrooms they would probably use as
Not
well?
necessarily,
No, okay.
because sometimes, like for example, this year we have a grade 7 classroom on this end of the building, and typically this end of the building was the 5-6 end. Those grade 7 students will have to still use the grade 7 door and the grade 7 washrooms that we assign.
Okay, right, 'cause it would be too confusing to say, well,
Yes.
this class.
Plus a
is-
grade 7 class,
Has
yeah.
different rules, that's right. for
Yeah.
sure. That's good. And what about visitors to the building and so on like that then?
So unfortunately at this time, we know it's an inconvenience, but we're asking to limit visitors as much as possible. If you do need to come to the school, can you just please call the office? Someone will meet you outside, screen you, and help you with whatever we can help you
So
with.
by screening, are you temperature testing or just?
We are
questioning?
not temperature testing. We have a screening tool, and it's a list of questions, the same ones that you answered when you came in today.
Good, well, that's great, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
So now, parent responsibilities, do you have a message to the parents perhaps in that regard?
Well, sure. NMS wants to work alongside families to ensure the health and safety of our students. We appreciate parents talking to their children about the importance of how to wear a mask and the importance of wearing a mask, as well as physical distancing. We're all in this together, and we can make it the best possible year that we can by all working together.
Well, thank you very much, Val. It's been great. I think with the 3 schools that I've interviewed, hopefully we'll get some information out to the community and the parents.
Yeah.
And I want to personally thank all the teachers and
Perfect.
you 3 principals in particular for
Yeah.
all the work you've done over the summer. You didn't get much of a holiday this
That's
this
okay.
year.
We
This year.
just want to remind the communities to check our website, because things are constantly changing, as with provincial mandates and public health mandates. So if they could just always check the website to make sure that they know what is happening.
Yeah, and we're going to put the website up on the
Perfect.
video so they'll know what it is.
Good.
So, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.